Should I accept?
When I was just a child, I watched my mother as she smiled, and I could see that she was proud of me. Not for only what I'd done, or all the things I would become, not the things I would grow up to be. She loved me just for who I was, not when or if, was just because I was her kid, her love was guaranteed. Oh, and on my mom I could depend. She was my greatest fan, my friend, and it's still true from then till now and until the end. Oh, I wanna sing a song for you, for all the things you've done to get me through. And though you have a day, I want the world to hear and see that every day is Mother's Day to me. Through childhood days to teenage years, you were right there to wipe my tears. Cuts and scrapes were covered up in love. And if I was under attack, you were right there, you had my back. I swear you were sent straight from up above. You were right there to cheer me on, and took the time to teach me right from wrong, and brush away all of my little fears. Oh, and even when we disagree, you still work hard to help me see that everything is not as it appears. Oh, I wanna sing a song for you, for all the things you've done to get me through. And though you have a day, I want the world to hear and see that every day is Mother's Day to me. Yeah, I wanna sing a song for you, for all the things you've done to get me through. And though you have a day, I want the world to hear and see that every day is Mother's Day to me. Yeah, every day is Mother's Day to me.
So, hello and very welcome to I'm the Best Mom. I hope you all are staying safe and keeping well. Thank you very much for your active participation and appreciation to the initiative of I'm the Best Mom. Cover page, cover story is helping you all learning the health challenges and keeping you in the pink of health. You had any questions? You have got the answer from the experts. Now, I'm the Best Mom is addressing many aspects of our life, be it attention to emotion, attention to nutrition, or let all the kids guess the substantial benefit of doing yoga every day in a playway method. Yoga for moms to be and children, gain your expertise on French language, and many more as a compliments from I'm the Best Mom. Please subscribe and follow us on imthebestmom.com and Facebook and YouTube channel. Now, we do agree. The truth is that being a mom today is very, very hard. Many of us live away from family. Our schedules are packed full. And truthfully, life can just be overwhelming some days. It's not that you don't love your family. Of course you do. I know everybody's trying the best. That tired feeling sits heavy on your bones. And there are many moments when you feel so close to burnout. We all are going through a very, very tough time, especially this year when we have been burning out each, and thanks to the pandemic, motherhood, you all are experiencing. Many of our support system came to a crashing halt. Life will bounce back someday. We need to go through this difficult time. It's a pleasure and a very much honor to am the best mom to receive Dr. Gayatri Rathod Patel, consultant neuropsychiatrist. She runs a center in Rajkot by the name NeuroWorld. Today, we are fortunate to have her and to understand more and learn motherhood during pandemic burnout. Welcome you, ma'am, to I'm the Best Mom.
Thank you so much. That was a very hopeful message, and it does give hope that everything is going to be fine one day. I'm going to share my screen. Just a second. There is something. Yeah. Pardon me, I'm a little technologically challenged, so you guys have to bear with me till the time I figure it out, even though we practiced it.
No, please
have a little bit of a problem. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about a topic that is very dear to me, motherhood. And motherhood during pandemic, and are we heading towards burnout? Now, as we all know, that since last year, March 2020, we've been hit by this deadly coronavirus, and post that the lockdown and the effects of the lockdown and how it has taken a toll on mental health. It has affected almost everyone, but mothers more so, and we'll know and we'll see why mothers more so it has affected. There's this beautiful quote that Abraham Lincoln has quoted, and it says that all that I am or ever hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. Now, the reason this quote here and what it actually can be is that it kind of gives us the idea of how mothers are so important in channeling a child's life and future and how they are brought up. Also, it kind of creates a lot of pressure on the role a mother plays in a child's life. I'm not saying it is anything negative, but yes, it has been, and the culture has been as such that there's a lot of pressure and expectation from the mothers that has been happening. Now, as we all know, motherhood is a blessing. It is a blessing to hold your child for the first time. It starts with you being pregnant, the news of pregnancy, and then post that, and having your child. But it does come with its fair share of stress about how to care the child, stress about yourself because you are going through changes, be it normal delivery, be it section. There are physical changes that has been happening, and along with that, to care for a newborn. And after that also, motherhood, once my friends and my other colleagues would say, motherhood is something like a one-way channel, right? Once you become a mother, you can never go back, right? And it actually changes you as a person. Now, the all these words that we can see on screen, work from home, homeschooling, isolation, quarantine, all these are the words that have been so frequently used since we've been hit by this pandemic, and they've been affecting us all. And all these words and all the issues related to them are the reasons causing the stress. Now, talking about burnout, what actually burnout is. Now, burnout is clinically, if you see burnout, it is characterized by a triad of exhaustion. It can be emotional, physical, or mental exhaustion, sense of futility or cynicism, and difficulty maintaining personal collections. And if you talk about professional front, lack of professional efficiency. Sense of futility, as in it's more like no matter what I do, it's never enough. Cynicism, taking it in kind of everyone is there to get back to you, or everyone is there to only trouble you. Why are we talking about burnout is because of the impact the pandemic has caused on mothers, women around the globe, and more so in our country. That's why let's see how and what the impact has been on the mothers of our country. The first important thing that I have seen and observed, and there has been a lot of research about it, is that there has been a lot of difficulty availing health facilities. Now, it's ironic that we are facing a pandemic and there are so many new hospitals and care centers coming up, but they are all occupied by the COVID patients. Every hospital is currently running for COVID patients. People are admitting. Some centers have transferred their centers into COVID care centers. So that again creates a lot of difficulty in availing the health facilities for illnesses other than COVID. More so prenatally. Now, pregnant mothers have so many, they have so many hospital visits. These are routine visits for prenatally. Pregnant moms have to go and visit for the ultrasounds, weekly ultrasounds. They have to visit for their normal routine checkups at weeks. They have to see what, they have to consult the gynecologist for their supplements, what is to be done if they are having any, and prenatally if there are any complications, if the mother develops hypertension, if there has been gestational diabetes, all these factors need medical help, and to not have access to that is again creates a lot of stress. Now, one thing is it creating not being available. Secondly, the fear of visiting a hospital and not being able or contracting the virus. And prenatally again, so many questions. What if I get the virus? What if I get infected? What is going to happen then? What about my pregnancy? The picture gets more difficult postnatally when you have a newborn and you have to take care of the newborn and yourself. There is a newborn. Again, newborn comes with a lot of responsibilities to take care. Just delivered mother is usually very working under stress, because there are so many changes happening in the body. Along with it, so many changes happening physically and in her life, right? There's a newborn to take care of. There is constant need of the breastfeeding the child, constant need of diaper change, constant need of sleepless nights. All these warrant help, and all these warrants again the newborn care. What if there is some problem with the newborn? The earlier, before COVID, what we can call it, we would just pick up a baby and go to the hospital. Doctor, I feel that the baby is crying a lot. What do you think? What is happening? And then immediately you feel better, right? When the doctor says, oh no, it's just flatulence, so it's just colic, just give Colicate and the baby should be fine. But we psychologically feel better once the doctor has seen our baby personally. That has stopped, and that has not been possible since the time we've been hit by COVID, and it had become more difficult because of lockdown, because of time. In this way, we have time limited lockdown. So 8 o'clock here in our state, it is 8 o'clock lockdown. So what if my child has some issues after 8 o'clock? What if my baby needs a doctor? There have been online consultations. Most of the physicians and gynecologists and others, even us, are consulting online, but it's no substitute for a physical one-on-one consultation. Secondly, online consultation is not comfortable for all the patients. They are not comfortable. Patients, sometimes we are just not comfortable speaking on screen, or examining on screen for that matter? How are we going to examine the baby? The other thing that the mothers have been very stressed about is vaccination. I used to get so many messages about vaccination. Hell, I was worried about my child's vaccination as to what is to be done. Should we take? Should we not take? What are the chances of the baby getting infected when we go to the hospital and we are going for a routine vaccination? But what if the baby contracts the virus when we are at the hospital? How are we going to maintain social distancing? Apart from all this, the other most and very important, there has been a lot of research about this, is missed doctor appointments of the mothers for their illnesses that have been long. Some are known case of hypertension, known case of diabetes, known case of cardiac illness, known case of any musculoskeletal problems. All these doctor appointments have been missed because we are scared to go out. We are scared to visit hospitals for that matter. We still get phone calls, doctor, we want to visit, but then what about patients? How many people are there in the clinic? How are you following any COVID related precautions? All these factors that earlier were not there and they are added to your current life situation, of course, adds on to the stress, to the anxiety of the mothers. The other thing, and a very important thing that has happened, is increase in the workload. Now, in our Indian context, it has always been woman of the house. So the woman of the house has to be the one taking care of the children, taking care of the household chores, taking care of the house precisely. All this along with the burden of the pandemic. So it has come with its fair share of sanitizing, earlier in the first wave when we didn't know about how the spread is occurring. There has to be the groceries had to be kept for a while in, quarantine, or groceries had to be kept separately for a while and then taken care of after that. Even cleaning and everything that enters the house has to be sanitized, cleaned. Then the schools and daycare centers have closed. Now the closure of schools and daycare centers have increased the burden a lot. Children are there at home all the time. Now they are there at home is one thing. The other important factor and other stress that the mothers are facing is online schooling. What to do, how to go about it, how to take care of the, how to make the child sit in front of the screen for so many hours and not get distracted, not do something else, not turn off the video and do something else on the laptop or the tablet. This again has created a lot of worry in the mothers that, are we doing the right thing? Is it the right thing for the children to sit on the screen for so long? What if, and if we don't let them sit on the screen, then what to do? How are we going to manage? How is the child going to manage the education? Is he going to lag behind his peers? Is he going to miss on his education and his curriculum? All these factors have again caused a lot of stress. A lot of critical decisions had to be made, what to do about the child's future. There is, because there has been lockdown and there is a always constant fear of contracting the illness, people have let go of their house help. At times the house help has not been available because they couldn't travel because of the lockdown, the traveling issues and difficulty getting house help. That has increased the burden for sure. Now the scene changes when what happens is that there is someone in the family who has come positive. Now the mother has to take care of the entire family who is, and she is not positive, so she has to take care of the house whatsoever was happening because of the pandemic, along with taking care of the ill. It's a very big deal again to take care of someone who is positive. They're isolated, change of their sanitizing the entire house, sanitizing, then providing them different separate food, separate vessels for everything. That again creates a lot of stress. Now the situation totally changes when the mother is positive and others are not. Now the mother is isolated. Once the mother is isolated, imagine the mother is isolated. There have been so many mothers who have felt they have felt helpless because they had to leave the child elsewhere with their parents or their in-laws and isolate themselves because they were positive. The children have been having difficulty because they're used to mother having being there. At least even with the working moms, the children are used to having mothers around at nights, in the evenings, wherever. But to not have your mother around and to not be able to take care of your child and see that the child is distressed, imagine the level of stress and pressure and anxiety that creates in a mother. Now, coming to the very important work from home that we have been doing, I think, since 1.5 years now. Work from home is a challenge or is it a blessing? I'd say that it's more of a challenge because women have been working from home and for home. What the challenges that the women have been facing is there is no formal environment for the women to work. They are working and managing simultaneously. Earlier, what used to happen is they had a proper structure. They would go to their office, sit in their cabin, sit on the desk, do their work, go back home, take care of the children. Meanwhile, on their way back, take care of the household requirements. This has totally changed. Work from home, everything is in one scene. The children are disturbing, there is distraction. She's worried if the children are going to hurt themselves. Mother is worried about what is happening in the background. Mothers have been struggling to strike a balance between work and childcare. There have, as I said, there have been no transition times. Earlier, we could switch. Mothers could switch from, say, if they are leaving the house, okay, they've taken care of the household chores, they've taken care of the house. Now, leave the house on their way to the office. Now, while on their way to the office, taking the bus, taking the train, going by their car, driving, they have the time to process it all, right? To switch off the house related thoughts and switch on the office related, the work related task. This has not been possible since the work from home has started because you frankly you cannot have those transition times. You can barely go out, you can barely have your time because everyone everywhere all the time. Family support and understanding has been a little difficult because for mothers working from home, families have a difficult time understanding that working from home also takes the same amount of effort. It takes the same amount of concentration and attention that would otherwise be required when they are physically present in their offices. It's more like you're available all the time, right? So, mommy, I can't find this. Mommy, where is my food? I am hungry. Mama, what do we do? She's available all the time. Imagine. Now, some mothers have also said that it has been a blessing because they are now able to spend time with their children, which earlier wasn't possible. The children would be in daycare, children would be somewhere else in with their grandparents, and the mothers had to work. This pandemic has given them the time to spend with their children. Also, some mothers have said that their spouses have come forward and helped them along in the household chores, help them take care of the child, and they have actually shared the workload. So it has been a blessing also, but the challenges are definitely higher than what the blessing is. Currently, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of stress and anxiety in the mothers, as we've been speaking about it and how. Now, the mothers currently are facing this fear of what about the child's health and well-being. Health in terms of everything, right from nutrition, their schooling, right? Again, they're worried, what if the child, in this wave, more so the mothers are worried because this wave, the children are being affected. Some are even getting a serious illness. Mothers have lots of questions about what if my child gets the virus, what to do further, how is it going to, we don't have any data currently about what are the long-term effects of the virus, what are the long-term effects of when a child gets infected. That again creates a lot of stress on the mothers and parents in general, that even if the child has not had a serious illness, what are the long term effects if the child contracts the virus? The other factor is that mothers are worried about is the child is constantly in the house. They are not leaving the house. They are not allowed to, first of all. Secondly, they are all the time now, especially now we've reached a place where the children are constantly bugging that they want to go out, they want to play, they want to see their friends. How are we going to, when are we going to go out? When are we going to be able to celebrate our birthdays? When are we going to be able to go and visit any birthday parties? All this again, there is a period and a limit to what even the mothers can explain the children. They know that by now the children they're just exhausted, but the constant need to reassure them that it's going to be fine, you have to but maintain, you have to be inside the house, not leave the house, it's very important. The other thing that the mothers have had to face is the financial burden that the entire pandemic has created. The working moms, a few of the working moms have lost their jobs. Few of them have had to face the salary cut and the reduction in the salaries that they have to face. The moms who are not working and they are housewives, they have fear and financial burden about their husbands being laid off, or the husbands having the salary being cut off for the time there was lockdown, for the time they couldn't attend, for the time they were isolated for that matter, or quarantined. That again creates a lot of pressure on the already tensed string that we are looking at. Now there have been varied, as I said, there have been varied levels of anxiety amongst working, non-working, and single mothers. Working mothers are worried about contracting, how they are going to manage the work and household, what has to be done regarding if someone gets infected. Non-working mothers are more anxious about how are we going to make ends meet, how are we going to manage everything financially, because there has been a crunch financially, and single mothers have had the worst time because there is no help. They have to take care of the finances of the house, of everything else that will come related to the child. What are the different forms of emotional distress that we have seen is there have been cases of depression, there have been cases of low mood, irritability, anxiety, stress, and emotional disturbances. The very second slide that we spoke about burnout is because of this. Burnout is this: you feeling emotionally, physically exhausted, you feeling you having a sense of futility that nothing I do is ever enough, and your work and your efficiency starts getting hampered. Considering all these things, of course it's going to reach a place where you are bound to feel overwhelmed, where you're bound to feel that, oh, am I doing am I doing everything correctly, or am I lagging somewhere? Now, what can we do to help mothers or to help ourselves as mothers to cope better with the situation? The very first thing that I tell all mothers when they contact me or reach me is to understand and recognize that this is a problem. This problem is systemic. Systemic in the sense that we have never been under this, the world has never been under a pandemic that grave and severe. So we really don't have any provisions or policies as to how to handle children and the schooling when there is a pandemic going on. There are no policies in place. There is no help being in place. You are not alone. Most of the mothers are going through the same issues. So you have to understand that it's something that is first of all transitory. It's going to get better, and it is not in your hand. It is not something that you alone can take care of. It requires a whole set of responsible people higher up than what we are. Now currently mothers are facing this difficulty of what is the right choice. What is the right choice? Should I send when the schools have started for 8th standard and above, the mothers were like, should I send the kid to the school, because right now the schools are saying that they can come physically, or I am too scared to send the child to the school. But what if it's a wrong choice? What if my child, again, I am depriving my child of going to the school physically? Should I give my child 10 minutes of this tablet so that I get 10 minutes of peace from all this chaos that is happening around me? These are the choices, these are the impossible choices that the mother is facing because of the pandemic. And frankly, there is no perfect choice, there is no right choice. You have to do what is suitable, favorable, and comfortable for you. And whatever you are doing is enough, whatever you are doing is good enough for the child and for yourself, because you are more important. Your mental health, your physical health is more important for the child to have a proper guidance, and take care for the child and the family to be taken care of. The other most important thing that we can do is to cut out everything extra. So the deep cleaning of the cupboard can be taken care of later. Time management is very important and urgent. I like to tell my patients about this time management technique. You have to categorize your work into 4 categories. If it's important and urgent, urgent but not important, not urgent but important, not important, not urgent. So you know what are the things that are to be taken care of. Urgent and important are the ones, and urgent and not important are the ones that are to be taken care of right now. Others, everything else can be, kept in the backdrop, wherein you, whenever you get time, you can take care of it. Same thing applies to working mothers also. You have to have that difficult conversation with your bosses and at workplace that because you've been overwhelmed with work, you've been overwhelmed with meetings and online meetings, some other paperwork can be taken care of later. That difficult discussion also you should have. I can totally understand that if it's possible for everyone or no, because then again, as he said, there is this constant threat of what to do with the job, what if they lay us off. Other thing that we can do is, and this is I feel that this next point, that watching your thoughts about yourself is important in a way as to not just during the pandemic but always. We have a tendency to start criticizing ourselves the moment anything goes wrong, or the moment we feel overwhelmed. Oh, I must be bad at this because, my children are always cranky. My children are always shouting. They're throwing tantrums all the time. And I'm sure that there's something wrong with me. I am not able to handle the whole motherhood properly, or the whole mothering properly. Please watch your thoughts. It's not something that you are wrong at. It's actually that you are overwhelmed, you are currently working under pressure. So how you can change this constant blame game that you are, and the constant guilt that you are facing is, whenever you, first of all, you watch your thoughts. When you're watching your thoughts, you've started blaming yourself again, and then say to yourself, oh, goes my mind again. Oh, there goes my mind again, and I have started blaming myself. The moment you do that, you are at least decreasing 50% of the intensity of the thought and the feelings that it carries with it. There has been a lot of talks about me time, and how women can have me time, how mothers can have me time. Now, me time need not be something very specific, or something that you have to actually work towards. Don't create a pressure about me time, that, oh, I have to have this me time, so I need to juggle this work. Me time can be just a 5 or 10 minutes of sipping your coffee on a sofa gazing outside. That can be me time. For some mothers, it can be baking a fantastic cake for themselves or the children, baking muffins. For some others, it's just sitting in a corner with a very good book and reading 2 3 pages out of the book and having that time to themselves. that what we can call as me time. Don't pressurize yourself to having me time, but once you start having that 10 minutes of to yourself and 10 minutes of a time where you have cut out everything and you are having enjoying being alone and with yourself, is going to help you further enhance that time. You will then further be able to manage time better. You will then further be able to handle the chores better, because now you were able to relax and calm your mind. Prioritizing oneself is something that has to be done. Even otherwise, I feel for the mothers and women today, is because somewhere we get lost, right? We get lost in everything. We have this constant urge. Mothers have this constant desire and need to say yes to everything, take on responsibilities that more responsibilities that you can take and you can handle, and then again that again creates a lot of disturbance mentally. Now, how do you prioritize yourself? A very important point here I'd like to say is to set boundaries. Now, how do you set boundaries? The first of important factor here is to learn to say no. Now, many a times we think that when we say no, we are going to, one, it means that we are selfish, and two, it is going to hurt the person opposite us. You have to understand that saying no is in no way says or expresses that you are selfish. It just comes out as that you are prioritizing yourself and you're prioritizing your mental health and physical health right now. The other thing that you have to be wary about is not always when you say no to the person in front of you, be it your children, be it your husband, be it your anyone in the house that you have with, is they are not always going to like you saying no to their demands, right? It's not always going to, oh yeah, for example, there is something additional, your children want you additional hour, your children want you to sit with them at night because they want an additional story to be read to them, and you say, I'm just tired today, why we can do it tomorrow, right? So the children are not going to always, or for that matter, they are not going to like the fact that you are saying no to them, because first, they are not used to mommy saying no, right? And secondly, they are going to be a little, some children might get angry, some might be a little sad about it, but you have to understand that the the reaction of the person in front of you is not your responsibility in this situation when you're setting boundaries. The first important factor here is when you are saying no, you're doing it for yourself, for your mental sanctity, for your physical health. So the person opposite to you is not always going to be, the response is not always going to be favorable. We expect that when we say that, oh, I can't take care of this extra additional household chore, why don't you do it tomorrow? You're saying it to your spouse. It's not, it most often than not, the person opposite is going to say, no, I'm not going to do it. Very rarely will it happen, oh dear, it's so good that you're prioritizing yourself, and no, that's not going to happen. But you have to understand that this is for you, and the reaction of the person in front of you is not your responsibility. That's how you prioritize yourself. That's how you take and prioritize. Again, having that 10 minutes of me time for yourself is again prioritizing yourself. How else can you prioritize yourself is to ask help from the family members. You ask them that, I have been overburdened lately, and I would really like some help in this regard. Be very specific and be very sure that you need it. It's okay to ask help. It in no way says that you are lacking in any way, or you are not able to fulfill your duties in any way. It's always okay to go and ask for help. Currently, because we've been overwhelmed, especially in the second wave, we've been listening to so many news that are disheartening, heartbreaking, of some or the other relatives having a very severe illness, someone having how the country is facing lack of medical supplies and everything. Set a time limit for news every day. So you decide for yourself that the afternoon is the time where I can handle a little bit of, I can handle some bad news, and that's about it. Grant, as I said earlier, grant yourself those transition times. Now, how will you grant yourself transition times in a house where you and others are always present in the house? This you can do by structuring inside the house. So you structure in a way that this is the place where I'm going to sit and do my work from home sort of a thing. This is for working mothers. This is the table, this is the chair, or this is the bed where I sit and do my meetings, do my official meetings and formal meetings. Now I get up from here, go to this sofa for having sipping my chai or sipping my coffee. There is another small area where we sit and play with the children. There is another area where we can, read a book or unwind a little. That mentally gives you the transition times that you cannot afford right now because you can't go out. What mothers can do and what we all can do actually is to designate a daily worry time. How do we designate a daily worry time? You in a day decide that this is the time of, and this much is the time where I am going to worry. So think about all the daily problems and all the official and household and the personal problems that you have for those 15 minutes. If you can, fantastic, write down the solutions to it also. So this is the worry, this is what has been troubling me, and I think this is a way by which I can solve this problem. If you have options, much better. Write those options down, that this is how I feel that I can take care of it. But apart from those 15 minutes, don't carry it throughout the day. Don't carry it at night. Don't carry it the next day, because that's what keeps haunting you. That is the reason the anxiety builds up. That is the reason where when the anxiety builds up, the irritability creeps in, and that's how the efficiency and the work efficiency gets disturbed. Other thing that we have observed is when you designate a daily worry time, the next day when you open back these worries and if you've written it somewhere, you go back and in your head and address them, they don't seem to be that troublesome today. It has been, we've observed that. So please do that. Designate a daily worry time. You can always have a journal to write your feelings. Why is it important to have address your feelings? Is you can't keep bottling it up. Bottling it up means you kind of creating a way for having some or the other problems, anxiety, low mood, depression. You addressing the feelings can always again help you realize that what are the troublesome thoughts that always keep coming, how you're talking to yourself, how you're judging yourself, or how you're looking at things currently. Writing it down, talking it out loud always helps. If you want, you can always reach out to your friends. We can always, you can always have a video chat, a video call. You can have Zoom meetings with your friends and have this fun, evening coffee time with your friends, wherein you chat, you discuss, tell them about their worries, you listen to them. What we have been ripped off in this pandemic is social contact, and we all know, and we currently realize that even more, that what social contact means to mental health, what social contact means to our mental sanctity. So we can always use the technology for our benefit. Use the technology to have the social contact virtually, so that you can meet with your friends, so that you can talk and discuss. The other thing that you can do is, many a times we don't want to address our emotions, right? We don't want to say or accept that we are feeling sad about something, but allow yourself to be sad for those important things that couldn't happen because of the pandemic. Allow yourself to be low for the function that you couldn't attend. Allow yourself to be sad for the very beautiful vacation that you were planning to take this year but couldn't because of the pandemic. That having time to grieve also is very important. As I said earlier, bottling it up is only going to make it worse. Now you should, all this is fine, having these symptoms, having, irritability, the triad that I suggested about burnout and everything. Most mothers are currently facing that. But you should always know when to seek professional help. You should always know when to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or a medical professional for that matter. And these are the points that you should be careful about. So let's go through them one by one. Pervasive low mood most of the day, nearly every day. So feeling sad, empty. You have to, another thing that you have to be careful about is, so as we mentioned, and we've been speaking about burnout and all these symptoms, we'll say that what is the difference? Now you have to understand that if that pervasive low mood, if the pervasive irritability, sadness, emptiness is there all day, every day, and it's been for the past 2 weeks or more, then it is, you need to seek personal help, professional help. Markedly diminished pressure in all or almost all activities. We've spoken about being the sense of having futility. Now the sense of futility and cynicism is not going to be present every day. You are going to be enjoying some aspects of the day in your hectic workload that is happening. But when we are talking about seeking professional help, if you're unable to seek pleasure in anything that goes during the day, anything, all or almost all activities, you need to take help. There has been significant weight loss when you're not dieting, or you've not really done anything about your diet, and you've lost a significant amount of weight in the past month or so. Or there has been increase in your weight also. You've been eating more than increase in your appetite, and you've been eating more and more so because whenever you're emotionally charged, emotionally low, and eating a lot, that time again needs to be spoke. You need to be you need to speak with a professional psychiatrist or a psychologist. Difficulty in getting sleep. Now, most of us have been having this difficulty in getting sleep, considering there has not been a lot of physical activity, considering there has not been for others who are not working. And the anxiety, irritability also makes it difficult to sleep. When you're overtired, when you're over anxious and irritable, again, it creates a lot of difficulty to sleep. But when should you seek professional help, and when should you see a doctor, is that the insomnia has been so bad that you've not been able to sleep at all for the past two weeks or more, or you've been able to get sleep, but it's been so disturbed that you would get up, and then again you would start getting these recurrent worrisome thoughts, and that has been the reason you've not been able to sleep early or get sleep. The other important factor here to consider is if you've been getting up earlier than usual of your time for a long period of time. So you get up early in the morning and you really feel sad about the day that is yet to, unfold in front of you. Again, you need to talk to a doctor, a psychiatrist. Difficulty doing work, lethargy, low in energy nearly every day. So having workload and being overwhelmed is one thing, but not having the inner energy to pick yourself up, get up from the bed and pick up that phone to talk to your friend, or for that matter go downstairs and do your daily chores, that again needs help. Lot of times, as we discussed in the entire this thing, that there have been a sense of hopelessness prevailing amongst all of us, for that matter, considering the pandemic and the disturbing news that we are hearing. But if the thoughts and feelings of worthlessness and the guilt are that to that extent that you have recurrent thoughts of killing yourself, harming yourself, recurring thoughts of death, it's an emergency. Please talk to a professional, talk to a psychiatrist, talk to a psychologist, but take help. There's a very beautiful quote that I came across, is being a mother is learning about strengths you didn't know you had, and dealing with fears you never knew existed. It's so strong, right? Motherhood is as such. I'm going to end this on this beautiful quote. And thank you so much for being attentive, because I've been just going on and on. And I hope there are some questions so that we can quickly address the questions.
Sure, ma'am. Can you please take the slides?
Just a second. I'll just go through one by one. Yes, should we do that?
Yeah, ma'am. If you can remove the slide.
So there is one question that
Can you
says,
take the slides out?
yeah, okay, sorry. I just, yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gayatri, for giving a very detailed understanding about the challenges which many mother is going through. Now, it's been a lot of benefit to many. India is different. We are a country with a lot of diversity, socioeconomic challenges, and many, many aspects, right? And there are many new terminology been identified over the last 1 year, 1.5 year time, like new normal and so many other things, right? But precisely for a mother, or when I would say motherhood, it all starts by the time the woman is into the pregnancy time, right? From the early months to towards the time she delivered the baby. And after that, the journey, as you said, once you are a mother, you are a mother. Not only your responsibility never restrict only to the child, rather it has a compound effect on the entire family. So when we're talking about the motherhood and the very precisely to the pandemic time and burnout, I believe this is the responsibility of the entire family, not by herself. So dealing with this difficult time, she should not be the only person to be responsible. Am I right or wrong?
Very, very good point. This is actually, I have been counseling and giving therapy to patients, and whenever it has to be a shared burden. What this pandemic has, there has been research, there has been research, and it has shown that the gender differences amongst in the gender differences and the gender roles have come up so gravely. And this is the time, I hope, because we are discussing this, it comes forward, and people and the family members help the mothers deal with this pressure, added pressure that is happening.
Absolutely.
Very, very good point.
When we're talking about burnout, it's a lot of symptoms. Probably by the time we conclude what exactly is going wrong or right, because everybody is going through some kind of physical as well as the emotional challenges. And I may request all the attendees, if you have any specific question, please put it on the Q&A section. We will be taking it, though we have already received quite a few questions to discuss, because many have been covered with Dr. Gayatri's presentation. Now, precisely when there is a challenge of dealing with children, sometimes the burnout, what the kids are having, the mother gets the similar effect as well, because she is the one who has to manage many times. Now, we have always taken the mother for granted, always, right? So that's probably India is different. Now, is it a psychological phenomena, or it does happen? Like when we are talking about mother getting burnt out with the difficulties of this, is it a social stigma, or it is more like why not she can be handled it first, like the mom should take care first of herself, then the family? Is it, or it is because of the Indian culture and the social, like, no, I have to take care everything, then my turn comes?
I'm so glad you asked this question, that because it's such an important thing to understand. This is so it's more, we can call it both, more so social factor also, is because this is how the culture has been, right? So as I said, there has been this term woman of the house. So you are I have had my friends at times say, so you're the woman of the house, now you take care of, you decorate the house, so you do things according to yourself now. So there has been this culture wherein the added the added, I don't know if I can say even added, it is whenever there is talk about childcare, or whenever there is anything related to the child, it has to be the mother who is taking care of it. We are shifting. There are couples who are sharing the workload, but there are again very few, and a very small community of people and couples who are sharing the responsibilities. But when we talk about childcare, when we talk about their schooling, their chores, or anything related to the child, it's more on the mothers for some. And there, I feel we are to blame also. तो right from dialogues like तुम्हारी मम्मी ने तुमको कुछ सिखाया नहीं है क्या, to you know all these sometimes creating a lot of hula around the word that oh mummy तुम मम्मी हो, तुमने ये सब करना है. That also creates a lot of pressure on the mothers, and that's the reason we at times then comes the psychological part here, because the mothers then start feeling that I should be able to handle this. I should be able to, and I should have this constant need of taking care of my child. I should have this constant, constant happy face for my child, because if I show my vulnerabilities, if I am sad, it's going to create a negative impact. It starts since the time the mother gives birth. So since the time the mother gives birth, we as a country have had such less we have given such less importance to postpartum mothers, because the entire focus shifts towards the children. And I'm so glad that we have this platform where we talk about moms exclusively, is because since the time she delivers, it's more of key, you have to do this for the baby, you have to do that for the baby. Oh, now you're a mother, you have to not crib about not getting enough sleep. Oh, now you're a mother, you can't crib about not getting time for yourself because you're a mother now. That again starts creating this psychological phenomenon when we start having these thoughts that, oh, I need some time of my own, oh, I'm getting irritated, oh, I just need 2 hours or 4 hours of continuous sleep. And then it's you feel like, oh, is there something wrong with me, or is it just me who cannot handle this? We've seen that so many of the groups, when we have these mother support groups, that time the mothers realize, oh, it happens to others also.
Right, ma'am. So what I'm collating all these things, all the touch point. Let's say if there is something going wrong in our health condition. Say, for example, if I'm getting a pain in my leg, I must address it ASAP or getting some attention from the doctor, right? So what you have been talking, if this thing we will not address as a family, irrespective of the family member who is going through this difficult time, what kind of consequence may happen? This pandemic will settle down after some time. We all know, and we are going for a very planned time, which need to be structured well, which probably need to be addressed well, with a lot of accountability on every family member. Am I right? Now, if we do not take care of it nicely at this stage, don't you see this could be leading towards another biggest pandemic, which the world is yet to see, probably, with the mental health challenge?
Absolutely. Again, a very important question, and this is that if we don't address it now, if we don't be careful about how we are coping mentally with this pandemic, it's going to lead to a lot of mental health issues eventually once this is all over. Right now, people don't really have the time or this thing to even think about all this that is happening. But once this all settles, as it is, we have had an increase in anxiety and depression and OCDs during the pandemic itself. Along with it, now once this work pressure and the difference and everything else, the stressors increase, it's going to lead more towards people being more affected with anxiety disorders, panic disorders, depression, dysthymia for that matter. All this is going to be on a rise if we don't address it now. If we don't help those who need help right now, it's going to I think it's going to lead to a place where People have to be clinically diagnosed and then treated accordingly.
Right, ma'am. So we have received a couple of questions in and around the financial challenges, they are going through now, which is becoming a little difficult in the family, but they have to cope up with this, and that's drawing a lot of stress. Any advice to them?
So as I think you've covered this in the presentation also, that yes, the financial stress is there, and there's no denying, and we can't really work on the fact that how do we get back on our track, and when is the situation going to get better. But to cope with it mentally is the very important, very crux of it is to, first of all, accept that this is a difficult time and you are facing a financial crunch, but at the same time not letting it affect you to that extent. As I said, designating a worry time. So again, even financial problem, designate it, assign a time for it also. You can't be worrying about the finances throughout the day, all day. Yes, it's very important. Money is very important, I understand. But you lingering on the same thought, how to take care of it, how do we deal with it, entire day is only going to create problems. Address it once and for all. Try finding solutions, how else we can help, or once they settle, let's kind of adjust for a while till the pandemic settles. And what next? What are our plans next? Write them down, find solutions, do all this in the assigned designated worry time, and then shut it for the day. You can address it next day again when you have that 15 minutes of time. Nobody is denying it, but for that day you shut it, because you lingering on the same thought again and again is not going to help you in any way.
Thank you, ma'am. And with this, this is also going to be a troublesome time for the children, who are spending a lot of time at home and the mother is managing. There are questions coming the kids are getting a lot of food. Sometimes they are putting on weight. That's become another challenge for the future and all. I believe those we can take on a later phase. Here today we are talking more about the mothers and
mothers. Yes.
So we will address those questions in the other section of our nutrition program, which is going to happen. And there are a few sessions I may request all the viewers, they can also see on the attention to nutrition section, where we have beautifully captured all this from the different experts. So today, ma'am, thank you so much for your valuable input and a lot of insight about the challenge which is been seen over almost every family is going through. Somewhere the impact is more, somewhere less. But as a family, it is very much possible to overcome. It's a matter of few months' time. We need to be having a lot of patience and support each other. Need to bring some kind of happiness in and around. That's very, very important. And we have been hearing from different experts on this, and you have a similar thought process to advise, and we recommend to keep the environment very nice at the home itself, apart from seeing the challenges is, yes, it is around, but we will overcome this. And mother is always the epitome of the family, and I'm sure we can spend a good time as a family as well. Any other message to all the mothers out here on the occasion of Mother's Day? But we believe every day is Mother's Day.
Yes, every day is Mother's Day. It's okay to prioritize yourselves. And what better day to take this pledge that you are going to take care of yourself other than Mother's Day, right? So to all the moms out there, please take care of yourselves, prioritize yourselves. It's okay to, at times be a little selfish, if I can say that. Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and wishing you the same.
Thank you so
tomorrow
much.
morning, we are conducting a very beautiful session. I request all the attendees to take out some time in the morning around 9 o'clock. We are going to have a yoga session with mom and kids. It's becoming a beautiful platform for more than a year now, where the kids are learning yoga in a playway method. 9 o'clock, we'll be spending 30 minutes together. So please do join there. Thank you so much for the beautiful session, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
When I was just a child, I watched my mother as she smiled, and I could see that she was proud of me. Not for only what I'd done, or all the things I would become, not the things I would grow up to be. She loved me just for who I was, not when or if, was just because I was her kid, her love was guaranteed. Oh, and on my mom I could depend. She was my greatest fan, my friend, and it's still true from then till now and until the end. Oh, I wanna sing a song for you, for all the things you've done to get me through. And though you have a day, I want the world to hear and see that every day is Mother's Day to me. Through childhood days to teenage years, you were right there to wipe my tears. Cuts and scrapes were covered up in love. And if I was under attack, you were right there, you had my back. I swear you were sent straight from up above. You were right there to cheer me on, and took the time to teach me right from wrong, and brush away all of my little fears. Oh, and even when we disagree, you still work hard to help me see that everything is not as it appears. Oh, I wanna sing a song for you, for all the things you've done to get me through. And though you have a day, I want the world to hear and see that every day is Mother's Day to me. Yeah, I wanna sing a song